to expand what could become the first $1 trillion company.
Just look at the water rushing past my feet right now. Open 24 hours, 7 days a week. And if it's an emergency, we've been using credit cards this morning to clean off the front of our lens because we keep getting ice that's accumulating.
But you might be wondering, does this even work? Now, back in 1963, this report talked about the need for more ways through and around Austin.
The Cat Metro train going by right now.
Serotonin from the upbeat music. And now this nonprofit has become a force of volunteers doing some behind-the-scenes work for everyone. Speech is dynamic. Conversation happens all around you.
Calls from fake numbers. So scammers smartened up. You still need to be diligent, looking out for packages, looking out for objects that might be suspicious, so that the explosion that happened today that took the life of the man who's been setting off these bombs, that this explosion will be the last.
Halloween is one of Texas' most celebrated holidays, and while it is a day filled with costumes and candy, that hasn't always been the case. Halloween dates back almost 2,000 years when pagans called it Samhain, a holiday marking the end of harvest season and the beginning of winter. Even though Texas isn't this old, some of our traditions and lore date back over 100 years. Out in West Texas for more than a century, many have spoken about the glowing yellowish-white lights you can spot on US 90 between Alpine and Marfa. TxDOT even created the Marfa Mystery Lights Viewing Center, one of the oddest roadside monuments in the state. In Fort Worth, there's the 1960s tale, The Goat Man of Lake Worth.
Some who have seen it say it looks like a half man, half goat.
A crowd of people at this lake in July of 1969 say they saw this 7-foot, 350-pound creature.
It was hairy and I couldn't see his face. It was in the dark.
It was up there on those cliffs and it'd stay up there running back and forth.
He's said to be as mean as a rabid pit bull. And this myth eventually inspired a play, even a short story. And today, it remains a living legend. And in Austin, you just have to go to the Johnson home. It was built in 1858 by Charles Johnson. His family lived here for generations. But today, some staff members say when they are cleaning up or closing down, you are never truly alone. One time, someone even saying they spotted footprints on the upstairs floor. So obviously, there are many different tales in many different Texas cities that have been around for generations. But this year, in 2018, don't let today's Halloween story scare you too much. About 30% of annual retail sales happens between Black Friday and Christmas. But do you know why we even have it? Let's go back. You have to start with the panic of 1869, when financiers Jay Gould and James Fisk tried to corner the gold market on the New York Stock Exchange. But President Ulysses S. Grant stepped in, releasing a large supply of gold, causing substantial losses for some, and giving us Black Friday. So when did it become a shopping term? A little bit later, 1961, in Philly. As shopping started to create congestion on Philadelphia streets, these officers disdainfully started to call it Black Friday. Retailers not fans of this name tried to change it to Big Friday. It's safe to say that didn't stick. This phrase gradually started to get used more and more, but it wasn't until the early to mid-2000s that Black Friday passed Christmas Eve as the biggest shopping day. And retailers quickly realized this, many starting to turn back the clock year after year, opening up earlier and earlier until 2011, when for the first time we saw stores open at midnight. Now Black Friday has turned into a multi-day event, but does it have the same punch as it used to? Black Friday sales have already been available for weeks in a lot of stores, and many will still be there once the holiday weekend is over. And now we're headed in a new direction. That's because we're used to seeing shoppers in person. Right, but last year shoppers were split. About 47% of shopping was done in stores, 47% online. So what about this year? Another first. 51% say they have budgeted for online, with now only 42% budgeting for in-person. So while Black Friday has adapted through the decades, what many people can agree has remained the same. It's time to break out that garland and start decorating. Well, with the flip from August to September, that doesn't just mean summer is coming to an end. That also means a brand new set of Texas laws. One of the most controversial new laws set to go into effect today has been shelved for now. SB 4 would make your local police department or sheriff's office comply with federal immigration officials. But earlier this week, a judge temporarily blocked it from going into effect over concerns it would erode public trust. And while you might have found conflicting ordinances or laws in different cities regarding texting and driving, there's now one rule for the state. No texting and driving, period. What about open carry for knives? Now blades more than 5.5 inches in length are being permitted for open carry in public places. This law, though, prohibits certain types of knives at hospitals, churches, or school campuses. But these campuses, they will see change, too. A new law will grant amnesty to students who report sexual assault while engaging in other illegal activities like public intoxication. The end goal is to reduce the number of rapes on our campuses. And with cyberbullying, there is a new measure in place to help keep kids safe when bullied, requiring school districts to investigate bullying that happens off campus and online. And it was an issue that forced some rideshare services out of certain cities, fingerprinting. But now companies like Uber and Lyft are back in many Texas cities. That's because these companies are no longer required to ask their drivers for a quick press of their thumbs. So this is a piece of the changes coming to the Lone Star State, as there are more than 650 new laws set in place and going into effect today.